Good day. This is Edge from High Tech Trading Analysis, and today I'm going to give you a brief impromptu demonstration of an indicator I've developed that I call Drawbar Ultimate, or the Ultimate Drawbar for NinjaTrader 7. Now, first off, I would like to give credit where credit is due. All I've done here is I've went to NinjaTrader.com's website. This is their main page, and I'm going to click on Forums. Now, as you can see, I'm already logged into their forum, but all I did was go to NinjaTrader, Forums. It automatically brought up this page. At this point, I'm going to click on Search, and I'm going to come down here to Search NinjaScript Files, and I'm going to type in Shortcut, and I'm going to click Go. That is going to bring up one single page, and it's going to be an indicator located on NinjaTrader forums that is absolutely free. If you don't have this indicator, whether you are interested in purchasing mine or not, I suggest you go over to NinjaTrader and grab it, and there's a picture of how it will look. What it does, I'll just bring in a chart, and I've already applied this to my chart here. It's called Toolbar Shortcut, and it applies a toolbar to the left-hand side of your chart. Now, if I click on my drawing tools here for Ninja, you can see that Ninja has drawing tools for lines, rays, extended lines, Fibonacci's, for your channels, for shapes, for markers. And what this toolbar does is put those drawing objects in a tool strip on the left-hand side of your chart so that you can quickly and easily, we'll just pick a ray, and we'll draw a ray on our chart, or a triangle, or a square triangle. So we quickly, easy, instead of having to click here, come down and click on something, we can easily click on an object and draw that object on our chart. Now, this is a great tool. All it does is duplicate NinjaTrader's draw objects in a tool strip on the left-hand side of your chart. It has several limitations. If I look at the indicator settings for this, now I do a lot of drawing on my charts, but I don't use all of these draw objects. For instance, I don't use Fibonacci circles, I don't use Fibonacci time extensions, I don't use an arc, I don't use any of these markers other than an up and a down arrow. Depending on how you size your chart, a lot of times all of these won't fit if your chart, if you have 6 charts, 3 going across, 2 going down, everything doesn't fit on your chart. In any case, this will allow you to, let's take markers for instance. We have all of these markers down here. So we can turn them off and hit apply and they are gone. But it's an all or none type of thing. You either get all of this group or none of this group. Same with the lines, same with the fibs, same with the channels, same with the shapes. That's what this does. Very nice tool. Matter of fact, I have to bring this up and give credit because it inspired what I'm about to show you. So I am going to remove this from my chart, and I'm going to apply the indicator that we're going to talk about. And I'm going to say OK. my indicator will add a small icon to NinjaTrader's toolbar up here. So we have a little pencil icon, HT drawbar. If I click on that, I now bring up a form that allows you to pick and choose individually which one of those items you would like applied to your tool strip. For right now, I'm going to keep them all selected, and I'm going to click Show. So now I apply a tool strip at the top of our chart. Now, in the indicator settings, you can actually, I've set this up so that you can actually apply this to the top, or if you're already using that tool and you want to leave it over on the left, or if you want to put it on the bottom, or you wanted to put it on the right, you can put it at the top, bottom, left, or right through your chart panel settings. Now, I prefer mine at the top, so that's how I'm going to continue on with the demonstration today. Now, for instance, I'll click on this again, and I had mentioned I don't use Fibonacci circles. I don't use time extensions. I don't use a Gann fan. I don't use any of these markers here. I've never ever used an arc. And I don't use extended lines either because I use array, but here nor there. And I click Show. Now I have customized this toolbar for my individual liking. Now, as you can see on this, there are some additional icons outside of what NinjaTrader provides you. And as we go through this demonstration, I'll explain what some of these mean. For right now, I'm going to select all, and I'm going to just leave it like this to go through a small demonstration. What are we looking at here? YM 30-minute chart, okay, and looks like we're going back till, we go back to about the middle of November. So let's just take a look. Let's take a quick, dirty analysis look at what we might have going on. Looks to me like that's a pretty nice trend that we're on. If I were to copy and paste that line and move that over, that's a pretty nice channel we're on. Let's extend that down some. Now let's redraw that just a little different. And I draw that like that so that I'm going through this point here, and this point here, and this point here, and this point here. I've got 4 points on that. I like that a little better. I'll delete that. We'll come back and copy that one and paste, and then we'll draw that back down. That looks about right. Now we penetrate that a little bit. I could probably bring that down just a hair, but that looks like the pretty nice price channel that we've been in since the 1st of January. Looks like we had a little gap up right after the holidays, and we have pretty much stayed in that channel for the last 6 weeks. What I might also do, now this is what you might do on the weekend, taking a look at the bigger picture, planning out, what you're seeing on your charts, planning out your next week. I might take a regression channel, might start here at the gap, and we'll work our way up to price. So apparently the trend lines I drew line up very nice with a regression channel. I might take a trend channel itself and come up through here, and then let's line that up and see where things line up everywhere else. All right, I'm coming through here, my middle line, we're touching this line. That looks like a pretty good trend channel. Quick and dirty analysis here, people. I see, what else do we see here? I see I could probably take a fib and come from here to here, and there's my 27.2 retracement. I might come down. I would probably want to look at something like that. And the reason I look over here is I look to the left, and there's my 618 right there that we came down and touched. We're playing on the 36. Yeah, I'm not here to teach methodologies, just kind of show you a bit about how I've enhanced, well, not really enhanced, redeveloped the toolbar that's available over on Ninja. Some things you might do, or another thing you might do is we might take that Fibonacci, copy and paste that, and draw it on top of each other. So we can see a one-to-one extension off of what we had here. Our 50% lines up real nice, retracement maybe back to the 618, well, 38.2 the way I drew it. That looks pretty good. I might even take another one now from there to there and draw that down and say, it looks like, depending on what happens here in the next week or so, we could retrace back to here and push up, or we've even got some room to the upside. But in any case, again, not here to teach methodologies. I have a extremely cluttered chart. Everything that I've drawn seems to have a point, but all together, I just want to look at a one-to-one here. Yeah, almost. Okay. But all together, a lot of clutter. This would be difficult to trade. Now, remember, we're looking at a big picture here. We're going back into December. So if we spread this out some and we come down and look at just the last couple of few days of what we just analyzed, we can see that our trend lines that we drew from way back, we can see price comes down, gets rejected, price comes down, gets rejected. We can see how our middle lines are actually having support. We can see how the top of our trend actually held support. All of those Fibonacci lines that we had that seem like clutter, when we're looking at them like most of you probably look at your charts in a standpoint of this in a couple days, if you have that on them, not so cluttered anymore. I mean, just between these two lines right here, you've got 60 ticks. Looks good. But when I go back to the big picture in my analyzation, this is difficult to read. Now, one of the problems that Ninja has inherent within itself is that if I take a weekend or take a Sunday and do some analyzation like this, now we did this in 5 minutes. Normally I'd spend 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes on a 30-minute chart or a 240 and analyze what I see within the markets, maybe make some of these global so they go across charts, and take a look at where I feel my areas of interest might be to trade that particular instrument. Now, again, going back to the problem, the only, I can't get rid of all of this. The only way I can get rid of it in Ninja is to delete it. Now, I just spent all my time analyzing the market. I don't want to have to delete everything that I just did, but I also don't want all the clutter on my chart from a day-to-day standpoint. I have developed a way that I can middle click on the icon itself, and that particular item will be hidden. If I middle click my trend channels, they're gone. If I middle click my regression channel, it's gone. Now I have a very nice clean chart. I did not delete the items off of my chart. I hid them. If I middle click that again, all of my Fibonacci's come back exactly the way that I drew them to begin with. If I middle click it again, we can see the icon turns a different color, a darker shade. Anytime that we're seeing a darker shade in our draw bar up here, that means that that item is hidden. So I can bring them back or I can hide them. Am I connected to data here? I am. So there's also a couple other additional icons that we've added at the top, that I've added at the top. If I click on this particular icon, this will show me a price line. As soon as I get a tick in this instrument, a price line will show up on my chart, and now that line will follow price up and down wherever it goes. Now, I like looking at that because now I can see prices here, and I can automatically look left and see where price is associated to where price was in history. So right here we can see that there's some consolidation going on over the last couple hours. This is a 30-minute chart, so quite a few bars here. But if we look back to the last day of January, we can see why there might be that consolidation happening right there, or why it's having a hard time coming down below this area right here. Within the indicator panel itself, we do have the ability to make that, to turn that on and off, but I can do that through a click of the button. I could also make that a ray instead of a line. So if you want that to, for instance, we're just going to click on this right now. If we only want that line to come back to price, we can do that. Or in that same indicator panel, when I come down here, I can adjust that length of that line however I want. I can adjust the style to a dash, to a hash, to a line. I can adjust the color, I can adjust the width, and I can adjust the length. Now, I prefer seeing it as a line, and this is set up by default the way that I particularly use it on my charts to trade. You can change it any way you want to change it. For now, I'm going to get rid of that. This icon here is a show trades icon. If I left click on that, and I don't necessarily trade this instrument, so you're not going to see any trades on this chart, but if I had any trades on this chart, they would show up, and I can click it again to show them, to hide them. So now I don't have to right click and go into data series and go down and show trades or show plots. Normally you have to go into data series. We come all the way down and plot executions, markers only, or text and markers. I give you the ability through a simple click of the button. Now, both of these are free indicators that are available out there on NinjaTrader forums and stuff too. I've just included them in the draw bar to make things nice and simple for us. Let's hide the Fibonacci's. Let's hide the trade channel. So now we got a couple rays and a regression channel left on the chart. As you can see, what I did earlier is there's a couple other icons over here on the left. If I click on the red eye, that will hide every object, every manual drawn object. It will not affect any of your indicators on your chart. Now you have a nice clean chart with nothing on it. If I left click that eye again, everything comes back except for what I have individually hidden. Now, if I want to bring my fibs back, I can still middle click them or middle click them back. Or if I middle clicked them and they were all there and I hit the red eye, they would all be gone. If I click the red eye again, they would all come back because those weren't individually hidden. If you have a lot of drawn objects on your chart and you want to bring them all back at the same time, there's a green icon that if we hover over it says reset. If we left click that green eye, everything gets reset. All of our draw object icons get reset to show, and everything that we've drawn on the chart comes back. There is one other icon on here. This is a Show Ninja Toolbar, our little tool strip that we have right here. If we left click that, we get rid of that. If we left click that again, it comes back. Now I'm going to add the ability, a little drop down here to let you select this and the top title bar. I'm probably going to add that here in the future and not too long, so that when you click on this, we'll hide the toolbar, we'll hide the title bar, and you'll have a very nice clean chart with nothing other than your chart and your toolbar on it. The rest of these icons are all just NinjaTrader icons for draw objects. So for me, this was a great addition in that I draw like this on all of my charts, and I don't like clutter. Having the ability to hide those individually or as a whole was the first step that I did for myself to enhance my trading. Now if we click the green eye and we bring everything back, let's see, did we miss anything? I will talk about this label icon here in a minute after I address some other things that we've done with the drawbar. And I think you've got your remove all draw objects, which comes up, brings up your NinjaTrader remove draw objects, and at this time I'm just going to remove everything we just drew. So now we have a nice clean chart. We'll hit the reset, knowing that none of our draw objects are on our chart again. Now the next enhancements is if we were to go and draw a line, and we were to draw a line from, let's just say there to there. I think that's probably where we had our fib drawn. Each of these icons has a drop down to it now. And in that drop down, there are unique characteristics and features that are added depending on the draw object that we're looking at. For the line itself, the first thing we can do is show labels. Now, what this is telling me is that from point A that I drew to point B is 561 ticks of range. So from here to here is 561 ticks. And I've drawn this line at an 82-degree angle, or an 82-degree slope, based on my horizontal and vertical current scaling. Now, I'll show you how that changes kind of dynamically as the chart changes here in probably with the ray. The next thing we can do is we can extend those lines off of point A and point B. So we draw from A to B, and now we extend lines off of the top, and we label those lines. We label them with price, and we label them with a tick offset, meaning, again, we'll get a, on the next tick, we'll get a price line up here. Price is trading at 13,915 as we're speaking right now. That means that this line here is 607 ticks away from the current price. This line down here is 1,168 ticks away from the last price traded. If we come back over again, I don't know how to show you this. I can draw a perpendicular line. I have a customer that is a big geometric pattern trader, and he wanted to see from point A to point B a perpendicular equidistance line drawn off point B. Now, again, I'm not here to talk about methodologies or any type of trading strategies. That was something that was requested. It was easy enough for me to add for him. I don't know how many of you will use that. We'll take that off of our screen. We show the midpoint. So if I were to take this and draw it over here, just to give you an example, from this point to this point is 580 ticks of range. We're looking at a 52-degree slope, and we now see our midpoint for support in between those lines, along with the label, along with the tick offset. I'm going to come back and draw this back over here again to the top of that wick. We're going to come down and we're going to show 50% forecast, meaning we're taking the range of the line and we're taking 50% of that line and we're extending it upward and downward to show you the forecast of if price breaks out the first point that it's going to go. You know, normally price is going to go from here, it's going to go up to the 50% mark, and then it's going to make its 1-to-1 or up to the 100% mark, meaning we're going to double this, we're going to take this, and we're going to go here, and that's where price is going to end up going. Possibly. I'm not saying that's where price is going to go, but come back down and put that from there to there. We show our 50% extensions, and the next thing we show is our 100% extensions. So if I'm trading the breakout anywhere in here, I can put a target, I can put another target. Currently that looks about like all I've done with the lines. There is something else that I have done, yes. So I am going to leave everything. Probably should talk about this with another draw object because it won't seem like it makes a lot of difference with this one. But there is an auto hide button on all of these. If that auto hide button is checked, that means when I right click that object that everything that I've done goes away. My extensions, my midlines, my line, everything. But if I click on this and unclick the auto hide, anything that I have checked in my features here will stay on my chart even though I've hidden the line or the object itself. Now again, it doesn't make a lot of sense just to hide this particular line, but when you're drawing ellipses and rectangles and triangles and some of your shapes and some of your other things, the clutter involved in the shades and the object itself can make a difference. That feature is in all of the pull downs for everything. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase all draw objects again. We're going to reset this and we're back to a blank chart again. Now we'll look at array. We originally drew our array from here, I'll just say to that point there. Now I drew it from this point to this point. What's going to be a little more important now when we're drawing the array is that we actually end at the point that we want, because what we're doing here is we're going to show a label, and I'll cover that here in a second, and we're going to show extensions. So we're extending the lines off point A to what I consider point B of where we stopped it. We draw our extension lines, we draw a price, we draw a tick offset. Now if I hide the extension lines and we get rid of this ray, the same individual that was looking for the perpendicular line was also looking to, let's say we were at this point in our chart. Okay, we don't know what's going to happen here later, but that was the high point of our chart and nothing was any higher. So what he would do at that point is he would take his ray and he would want to draw a 45-degree line. So there's 45 degrees. And then he might want to draw a 60-degree line. And then he might want to draw a 30 or a 15 or a 5, or again, I'm not here to teach methodologies, but he would draw lines on his chart based on certain angles to determine how he wanted to play the market. Now, prior to this, he was actually using a protractor on his screen, and make that a 30-degree line. Get rid of this one, and we fixed him up so that he doesn't have to do that anymore. But what I need to make you aware of is another thing. On all of the draw objects themselves, in the show labels portion of it, you get another drop down. And this is for the font of the label itself. So if I want to make that font of that label 12, so that you guys can see this in this demonstration, I can do that. That is available for any draw object. I give you the ability to 6, 8, 10, or 12. If you want something other than this, that can be adjusted in the indicator settings in the panel. Even though this says that we're drawing this line at a 30-degree slope, that is based on how this chart is structured at the moment. What I mean by that is if I adjust the vertical axis, we can see that the angle of that line changes. And the same would happen if I would adjust this horizontally. The slope of this line will change according to my horizontal and vertical axis of how I have my chart set up. I just want everyone to be aware of that. just because you're looking at a chart here and you're drawing a line at any particular slope does not mean it's going to be that same angle. And that goes for whether you're looking at a moving average, or you're looking at a line, or you're looking at anything that deals with slope. So on the rays, we label them. We can show extensions. And again, there's your Autohide there. For the extended line, I haven't done anything with it yet. Like I had mentioned earlier in the conversation, I don't use the extended line, so I never fooled with it. But I will be, as you can see, point A, and we drew it to here. I will be adding extension lines off point A and point B and labeling them like everything else. It just hasn't been a priority for me at the moment. From a horizontal line standpoint, we give you the ability to show labels. We'll make those labels a little bigger so that you can see them. That's the price of that line. That's the price of where I've drawn my line and the tick offset from the current price. And you can see this dynamically moving right here because price is going up and down. As this goes up and down tick by tick, this tick offset will adjust tick by tick. That goes for any drawn object on the chart. I am going to add an enable alert. I'm going to add an alert function so that when price comes down and penetrates this line, it'll give you an alert. Or if we happen to have the line appear and it would come up and penetrate the line on the top sign, we could get an alert. I have a lot of ideas for a lot of other features that are just going to be incorporated into this as time goes on. For a line arrow, we do the same thing. We allow you to label that, so we need to be a little specific when we're drawing these. This was a request from a customer that he wanted to see price at the point of the arrow. Don't know why, didn't care why. He asked, he received. Now, originally, I had actually drawn it like this, and you can see that as, you know, no matter where you draw it, it's going to show up very nice and neat for you. And that actually applies to the way you draw any of your objects. I originally set it up like this, like I have for everything else, and he complained a little and said, hey, I don't want to see the tick offset. Apparently that was clutter and he wasn't interested in knowing what that was. So in this particular object, I gave him the ability to turn that off. I am probably going to add that feature to all of the draw objects so that you can either look at just price or you can look at the tick offset. I personally trade with the tick offset. That's why it's there. Let's clear this off. Okay, so that should take care of most of our lines. We do something for our lines, for our rays. We'll add that for the extended lines, horizontal lines, vertical line. We'll click on a vertical line. We'll draw one there. I have added a show vertical lines, and we'll make that a little bigger so you guys can see it. And we have added the date and the time, and that makes it very nice and easy if you're looking at a bigger time frame there to say, okay, I'll set this on 131, and that was the open. That was the open, right? Yeah, we're looking at YM. So that was the open of YM on 131. And then if I wanted to draw another one, we could say there, makes it nice and easy that I can actually draw a vertical line to whatever price that I want to put it at. Now, as I adjust those fonts, those prices adjust, or excuse me, the time and date adjust accordingly. So now that takes care of our line. I haven't done anything with the Fibonacci's yet. I do have a request in place, or at least a thought, that if we drew a fib from here to here, there was a request to possibly look at adding the tick offset to each of these lines. I am not sure if I'm going to be able to do that or not. One problem that Ninja does is they don't allow me to see or change the template that you have used for the Fibonacci, meaning that if I pull up the Fibonacci, we're actually using templates here. And this one happens to be my default template, but I have several others set up. If I wanted to look at my down, maybe it wasn't my down template. Maybe it was my up template. Was it up one? Okay, why is that changing? It doesn't matter. I'm going to look into that. It's possible I can do it. I'm going to need some extra time, and there's some other things that are that have priority at the moment. What I've told that particular individual and what I will tell every individual is please do not buy anything from me based on what might or will come in the future. If you see value in what I'm offering, purchase it for the features that it currently has. And as new features come to being in time, even better. Everything that I currently sell is a one-time price. It's a lifetime price for NinjaTrader 7. I'm expecting to be using 7 through this year anyway. Currently not expecting Ninja to release this until late summer, maybe third quarter, and then you won't find me being the first mouse on the block trying it. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm going to get an alpha copy or a beta copy, and I will be trying to transfer my indicators over, and depending on how much work is involved in recoding things for their up-and-coming version will depend on the cost of whatever upgrade might be to NinjaTrader 8. Till I get a copy of it, I don't know. I don't know if it's going to break it. Don't know. I can't tell you anything about it other than don't expect it anytime soon. And then when it does come out, I would also suggest, and again, nothing against Ninja, but just like Windows, if you would have just waited a couple months for other people to try this Windows 8 out, you would have known you don't want Windows 8. I don't want Windows 8. Maybe you do. Excuse me. Everybody's a little different. I just won't be trading my live account in it right away. So everything, I'm assuming everything is good at minimum through this year, and I will support this through the life of NinjaTrader 7. I am a third-party licensed vendor through Ninja. So as soon as NinjaTrader 8 does come out, I will get a copy, and hopefully if everything goes well, there won't be much of an upgrade. But until I get my hands on it, I really can't say for sure. So nothing on the fibs. I'll be adding the same types of things to the channels, although I haven't got to them yet. Definitely to the pitchforks because I use pitchforks. Probably not the Gann fan. I'll show you. I'm developing a Gann fan within the Ellipse myself that that I believe more geometric traders will prefer. And then we'll probably do the same thing for the regression channel and the trend channels, the same thing that we did for the rays. We'll extend those lines out on points A and points B, and we'll label them. I'm up for any other suggestions. I'm not sure I can think of anything else to do with the channels themselves, but you know, I've made a lot of I've done a lot of updates just from user requests. Let's take a look at, okay, we're going to look at an ellipse where I just want to see where I might see something that would be practical. Again, I don't want to teach methodologies here, but if I take an ellipse and I go from my extreme low here and we take it up and we put the middle on the extreme high, or right here, this is where my middle point was. Now we have an ellipse, and at this point, at the point that we drew this, we were here. So we can draw an ellipse from here to here, and we know what happened on the left side. We can't draw it till the left side's already happened. So now we're playing the right side of the ellipse, and we're expecting that the ellipse, or the angle of the ellipse, holds price, just like it did right here. Now, if we come and use our pull downs, we can show our labels for ellipse. So what we do is we'll throw what I've done is I've thrown a box around the ellipse. I've thrown a midpoint for vertically and a midpoint for horizontal, and we label the midpoint horizontally. So we can see that the horizontal midpoint actually, price played around that a lot on the left side. We would assume that when it gets on the right side, we want to be watching price when it gets down to our midpoint as well. Same type of thing with our diagonal lines going across. We're expecting that after we've drawn to the midpoint here, that our diagonal lines in both directions are going to try to hold price. Once it comes through, it comes back up, it's playing around it, can't bust out. Well, looks like they might have one-ticked these guys over here and back up to the top. Now, there are some that will say that once price trades out and stays and is out of the ellipse, that this pattern is no longer valid. In this particular case, I would look at this and say, well, price never could penetrate the previous high. It didn't stay out of the ellipse long. It came back in. Once it came back down to our diagonal, our 45-degree line going up through, it held price, the ellipse held price. So, you know, I consider that still valid in any case. No methodologies here. We also show our horizontal, what I'll call it, the midpoint of the midpoint, or 25 and 75, however you want to look at that. But as we can see, the midpoint of the midpoint also holds price. These are points of interest for me. I also show vertical midpoint. So again, anything to the left, we don't really care about. We're trading that to the right. So once we're halfway through in time, some traders not only trade price and volume, but they look at time. Some traders use Fibonacci time extensions. I just have never been able to get my head around them or saw the value there. If somebody can show me and prove out to me that there's some validity in that, I am more than welcome to listen. I use a lot of market profile in my trading. I'm a firm believer in that in any case. To keep going, I show 50% forecasts. We show 100% forecast. This is both up and down. So now when we're coming back, we can see price. Now this is just like if we drew a box or a range. We saw price come up to the 50%, got rejected a little bit, and blast off back up to the 100% projection. Now, this was a quick, dirty analysis. I don't know if I should have drawn it from there or here, but just quick and dirty. And then we also extend our lines down, and I show you time. So we started this at 10 o'clock on the 28th of November. Once we're here on 12/11 at 1 o'clock, we're expecting that whether price trades up and out of this here or whether it stays in the ellipse, we know that on 12/28 at 8 o'clock, our pattern that we're possibly looking at here is no longer valid and we're going to trade out. Now the next thing that I could possibly do is I could copy and we could paste this, and we could paste this right about here, and we can take a look at now how price is going to trade in the next one. Or, you know, I'm getting into geometric type patterns again, but we could compound them and show them like this for our Vesica Pisces here in the middle here, and then we can actually paste another one, and we could either paste it like this, or you could take it over to the end. Again, these are just things that you'll have to study and play and test and determine for yourself whether or not that is something for you. The show box frame is the same thing. The only reason that that is there, like some of the others, is I do allow you to show the box frame without labels. So if you don't want to see the labels and all you want to see is the frame, that's available on all of the shapes here, and might even apply to some of the other objects as well. I can see right now just in this conversation that I need to add a range right here for the range of our ellipse. I will do that sometime in the near future. This is a good time here, this label button right here. If I click on that label button, every drawn object that I have on my chart that has a label associated to it, this will hide the labels for everything drawn. So if I had a line or array or anything else labeling things and I click on that, I can get rid of my labels. A feature I don't use, somebody asked me to do that to clean up some clutter. It was easy enough to do. I did. I believe that takes care of everything from the ellipse, same type of thing. The Autohide, if we unclick that, we middle click, and we middle click that. If we unhide this, notice how it makes a difference when it comes over here to our shapes. Now we don't have as much clutter per se, but to be honest with you, once I do this on an ellipse, I have nothing more than a rectangle, and I might as well have drawn the rectangle. When we're talking about a GAN box, from a geometric trader standpoint, I will take a line from this top corner, and we will draw a line to our midpoint. We'll draw a line from the top corner to our midpoint. We'll draw a line from our top corner to our midpoint again. We'll draw a line from our top corner to our vertical midpoint. We'll draw a line from here to here, here to here. That is something I am considering adding. To be honest with you, I think me personally, I believe that there's some other things that have more value. But there will be I'll be adding a forum here to the site here very soon, and I will let customers decide. We'll create a forum, we'll throw in suggestions, we'll let members, well, not members, we'll let customers vote on what they feel is what they feel they would like the most, and those with the most votes will get priority. Let's take this and we'll get rid of this. We'll take this back over to our original point, and let's look at the rectangle. So let's just do this. Actually, why don't we go the other way with it? I would venture to say, I would almost venture to say that if I drew that like that, and that maybe like that, that if I threw a fib on here, that would be 27.2. Yep. How about that? So all I did was kind of eyeball that, and I just figured this was a washout. So this was my 0%, and I'm looking up here at the consolidation for the 100%. I just kind of drew the rectangle and said, okay, well, I know that this little washout down here, if I throw a fib on here, I'm probably looking at 27.2, and by golly, it came down there and tagged it, and back off she went. Okay. We show labels. We extend the lines, show price, and a tick offset. We color that region. We show our midpoint. Oh, right through the gap, right at the gap. Interesting. We show our range. This is what I said I will add to the ellipse soon, so that we can see the range of the triangle or the rectangle that we're looking at. We show 50% extensions, and we show 100% extensions, both on top and on bottom. Well, it never just quite got there. Of course, and again, I'm looking at the big picture. This is drawn quite quickly, but yeah, you kind of wonder why price is getting exhausted there. Well, we've almost had a one-to-one move up. And again, the show rectangle extensions, that would you would only really use that if you weren't labeling things. But once I click on the labels, I automatically extend lines on all of the objects that you're looking at. Another way, let's see another way that we might use this rectangle. So I am going to get rid of most of all of this stuff. We don't want to show the midpoints. We'll just show labels, color regions. That's the only two things that I've got listed on here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to see if I can do this like this. I am going to say, if I click here and look right about there, and I click here and I probably look from the bottom of that to the bottom of that wick right there. And I take this, and where would be the next thing? Oh, that looks like a good one. We'll go from the body here to the body here. Okay, now that doesn't look like much. That doesn't really look like much on this big time frame chart. But let me do, well, let's do one more thing. Let's go from the top of that wick right there down to about the body there. Okay, and I probably should have made this, we could have drawn this way over here, because these are just extended lines. That's just my wick right here. So I don't know if you can see this real well. I went from the body to the top of the wick. I went from the body of this one to the top of this. I went from the bottom of my area here to the body of that candle. And then I tried to go from the body of this candle up to the top of the body of that candle. And I'm just looking at where price kind of was holding support and demand within that region there. And I say that, but that was 7 days, right? So give me a second. Let me open up a 5-minute chart here. And come on, Ninja, you can do it. Okay, so now let's look at a 5-minute chart here. There's nothing on this chart. We did make those global, didn't we? Yes, apply to all draw objects. So where is that chart again? Here. Okay, data series. Let's throw 10 days on there. Ah, there they are. Okay, now let's apply the indicator on them. And now let's show the drawbar on this chart, and let's come up to rectangles, show rectangles, fill region. Well, I'll be damned. We drew these lines on this 30-minute chart, and all we did on that 30-minute chart was when I drew the rectangle, I applied it to all YM charts and not just this chart. Now, you can see when I brought up this particular chart without this drawbar indicator on it, the rectangles show up, but our extensions do not. But in any case, as we're looking at this, now that I've analyzed that on a big time frame and even had 5 days on this, and there was no rectangles at all. So these were drawn, 10 days back. I had to load 10 days of data on this chart to even see these rectangles that were drawn. So the rectangle was drawn way back here. Very defined zone with a defined stop that we could play down here to up here. Now, this doesn't look like much, but 15 to 55 is 40 ticks. 70 to 06 is about 30, 58 to 18 is 40. So, you're looking at supply and demand zones here that are 40 ticks apart. This was made way back here. We had a spot right here. Came up, tagged it, played that down for 40 ticks. This one didn't make it. If you were watching price action here, maybe you could have grabbed that back down to here. Once this was drawn in this support zone here, once we came back up, we could play that up. Now, you add some other types of things on here, and you say that once you came here till you break that trend line, we're on a slope up. Again, not here to teach methodologies, just here to show you that you can use that rectangle or any of the objects in all different kinds of ways. If I put the chart like this, and we'll make this real pretty for you like this, and we can, what do I want to do? Let's just get rid of all of this drawn object. From here, I have a nice little area here, and from here, probably have a nice one there, and from here, I probably have a nice one there. And if I were to add a swing indicator on here, I would get a swing here, and I'd get a swing here, and I'd get a swing here, and well, just in looking at that, price is making lower lows, price is making lower lows, price is making lower lows. So till we can bust this swing right here, price is making lower lows. But in any case, I don't want to see all that clutter on my chart from here, 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 here. I see that already. These are the areas. If we come back into any of these areas, I'm going to be seriously looking, if I traded this instrument, I would be seriously looking at these areas on this small time frame. I would be looking at these areas in trading. All of the shapes, as well as lines, as well as everything else, if I were to change the color of the area, it will also change the fill region. If I were to change the color of the line, it will also change my extended lines and my price. So I can make a rectangle one color and a circle one color, or a line one color and an array a different color, or you can do that however you want. I prefer to do things like this. I will, I was just doing something very small on a very small outlook here to show you that by marking my stuff on a bigger chart and then bringing in and making those global, using the drawbar to extend those out, that you can see a better idea of the areas you should be interested in instead of trading the noise in between those areas. Again, I'm getting off way too much on methodology at the moment. So let's get rid of this. Triangles. Okay, what do I see? What do I see? It's kind of easier to see them in the past than it is in the future, but I really am not seeing any nice patterns. No real nice butterflies or anything really. Let's try this. I am going to take a triangle, and we're going to go from our lowest point to our highest point to the retracement that we had for that period of time. So most of you probably don't use rectangles much. I mean, one thing I see here is if I drew this to here, then if I were looking at a butterfly, I would look from here, and that was an incomplete pattern. But that should have, you know, I shouldn't say should. If I were looking to trade that Gartley butterfly pattern, it failed. Okay? But in any case, I'm going to look at this one. I extend labels like we do with everything else. So we see the labels here, and we see the labels on the right side. A recent addition is an A, B, C, D, meaning I have A to B to C. So now if you're playing A, B, C, D, you're expecting an equidistance move that we had from A to B from C to D. So now if I extend that D extension, I can see that now it didn't actually go in the same slope or in the same time frame that this happened. But by golly, A to B, B to C would be just like if you took a line and went from A to B. And let's turn off all this other stuff for our lines. And then B, we drew a line from B to C, and then we take a line and put it from C to D. It's the same. I just added it to the triangle. If you don't like seeing the shade, click on your triangle, make the area color 0, A, B, C, D. And I don't know if that's just a fluke, but looks like that turned out very nice. If by chance price would have been here and we're looking at D to E, or the equidistance from B to C, from D to E, we add that extension line. Then we can show that extension going across. Now, this is meaningless. Don't look at this and say, oh, touch that to the tick. No, price never even got to our D line before that happened. But I would still expect maybe once it came down to here, especially with this price action going on here, once this busts down, that once we get down into this 13.7 region, that they'll try to support this level. Otherwise, there's nothing but air. There's what I consider dead space, or a dead zone right there. I call that I don't know, somebody asked me, where'd you read that at? I don't think that I did. I just call it that. We can see price trading over, consolidating, boom, busts through, comes into the top. It never traded. If I went back to a volume profile chart and looked at a composite type view, this would be a low volume node in here. There is no volume trading in this area. They zoom it on past, volume accumulates up here, and there's nothing here. If price ever gets down to this area, I am going to be very interested in seeing price action to try to play the first bounce anyway, because they don't have to do anything. They'll try to hold this. If you've got people down here that were short and that are still holding, once price gets back here, they're going to be real happy to get out. So they can't let price get back here, or you're going to give other people an out, and I'm getting way too much into methodology again. We'll turn off the E extension. We'll turn off the CDEE. And I've also added a 50% extension to the D line, meaning A to B to C. So we show you 50% up, and then we show you 100% up. Now, this is a little different than taking our triangle and throwing a 100% on there, which ends up here, because now we're looking at a one-to-one. We're looking at this range and taking this range and putting it here and saying that that would be our next range. Whereas when we're looking at the ABC, we're taking that range, but we're extending it off of the retracement. Again, another methodology. And then the same type of thing, the Autohide. Trying to think if there was anything else I was going to do with this. I don't believe so. That, I believe, pretty much covers everything that's currently in place. There's nothing I can do with the marker. There's nothing I'm going to do with any of the markers. It's doubtful that I would do something with the arc if to be honest with you, someone would have to show me the value in that. I don't see it. Text works just the same. All right, I might, we'll cut this short here pretty soon. Hide everything, show everything. Reset everything. Hide our toolbar. We're going to add the title bar up here. Maybe, maybe not. I should say I'm possibly going to do that feature, and then some of the other things that we talked about. But I'm always open to customer suggestions. If I find or see value in your suggestion, I'm probably not arbitrarily just going to try anything. There needs to be value in it for not only myself, but everyone else that happens to use it. So if there's any questions, you can contact me at edge@htech.net, and or I am on Skype at edge358. You're more than welcome to send me a friend request. We can talk there, or my other contact is listed here on the site. I hope this was informative. This was very impromptu. I will try to do another one a little shorter and a little more precise sometime in the future, but I wanted to get something out there for you guys to see. Thank you very much for listening. I hope you find value in what I have, and if not, best of trading to you. Take care now.